I'll never forget the night the sea claimed my soul. It began with a whisper, a voice that clawed its way into my mind, tearing at the edges of my sanity. I was a seasoned sailor, a man who had faced the fury of storms, the wrath of enemies, and the treachery of the deep. But nothing had prepared me for the horrors that awaited in the shadow of the abyss. We were hunting treasure, a fool's errand, driven by greed and the promise of gold. Captain Rain, a man whose ambition outweighed his sense, had led us far beyond any charted waters. The crew was restless, their nerves frayed by weeks at sea, with nothing to show for it but empty bellies and darkened skies. But Rain was relentless, driven by a map he claimed was given to him by a dying pirate. A map to the lost treasure of Captain Mordecai, the Black Reaver. Mordecai was a name that sent shivers down the spines of even the most hardened sailors. They said he was more demon than man, a pirate who sold his soul to the devil in exchange for power and wealth beyond imagining. His ship, the Abyss, was a spectre that haunted the seas, appearing from the mists to drag ships and their crews to a watery grave. The treasure he amassed was said to be cursed, guarded by the restless spirits of those he had slain. But Rain, he was too blinded by the lure of riches to heed the warnings. It was a night like no other, cold and bitter, with the wind howling like a banshee through the rigging. The moon was a thin, sickly sliver, casting an eerie glow over the waves that crashed against our hull. I was on deck, keeping watch when I first heard it. A voice, faint and distant, carried on the wind. It wasn't the cry of the sea or the creak of the ship. It was something else, something that called to me, pulling at my very soul. At first, I thought it was my imagination, the product of too many nights without sleep. But the voice grew louder, more insistent, until it drowned out everything else. It was a woman's voice, soft, seductive, and filled with sorrow. She whispered my name, promising me riches, power, and glory beyond my wildest dreams. If only I would come to her. I tried to shake it off, but the voice was inside me, crawling under my skin, gnawing at my mind. It pulled me toward the bow, where the darkness thickened, where shadows twisted like souls in torment. My feet moved on their own, dragging me closer to the edge, toward the black abyss below. Then I saw her, a figure cloaked in darkness, her face veiled in shadow, but her eyes burned with an unnatural, cruel light. She reached out, her hand pale and skeletal, and I felt a pull so strong it nearly dragged me overboard. Her voice filled my mind, a whisper promising everything I desired. I was about to step forward when a hand yanked me back. Jonas, the first mate, his face as pale as death, hissed, "Don't listen, it's the siren's call. She'll drag you to your death." The spell broke, and I blinked. The deck was empty, but the fear in Jonas's eyes told me all I needed to know. We were not alone. Something was out there, hungry and waiting. Days blurred into terror. The crew began hearing the voice, each man lured by his deepest desires. Men who had faced death countless times fell apart, some throwing themselves into the sea, others turning on each other. Captain Rain was the worst, locked in his cabin, muttering over that cursed map. But I knew the truth. It was leading us to doom, not treasure. On the seventh night, we saw it, the Abyss. A shadowy, hulking ship on the horizon, its sails tattered, its hull slick with blood. Captain Rain, mad with greed, ordered us to chase it, but I knew we were already caught. The Abyss was not a ship. It was a predator, and we were its prey. As we drew closer, the sea stilled, the wind died, and silence fell. Then, from the darkness, emerged Captain Mordecai, the Black Reaver, his eyes glowing with malevolent light. The crew fell to their knees, praying for mercy that would never come. I felt his gaze strip away my humanity, leaving only darkness. Mordecai raised his hand, and the sea roared to life. Waves crashed over us, dragging men into the depths. The ship splintered, and as I was dragged under, I understood. Our souls were the true treasure. When I woke, I was alone, adrift on the wreckage. The abyss was gone, but the voice remained, whispering, calling me back to the darkness. Now I am the last one left. The Black Reaver is waiting. If you see the shadow of the abyss, turn back. Pray the sea takes pity on your soul, for in the end, all who sail her waters belong to the abyss.